Okay, I gotta be quick. I don't have much time to do this, so we're gonna try to go through this pretty quick. It's been hectic. I was in New York, Atlanta, and Miami working and had so much work. Let's do this. Okay, so this is about my Panasonic GX85 battery grip modification. As you can see it there. This thing fits. I mean, look at that. It's like perfect, right? By the way, these photos here that you see, where am I at? Right there. Those were shot in Georgia on this right here, except I had the Panasonic 42.5 millimeter at f1.7, and I used an ND filter on this because I didn't want the background to be so blown out. And so there you go. And I used a flash, one flash, Yongnuo, with the flash disc on the side. Boom. Okay. This is going to be very hard for me to explain this, so let's get right into it. First, let's show you some product shots so that you know what this thing looks like a little closer. Let me, this goes on top, I think. Here's some product shots here. Can you see my, yeah, you can see my cursor. Okay, all this right here is custom made to fit the grip of the GX85 perfectly. By the way, this is a Panasonic, this is a Sony A6500 battery grip. Like I said, I'm going to go fast, guys, so I really apologize. But anyways, this is the grip close up. And what's really cool about this modification is there's no wires dangling like in my GX8 battery grip modification. If you have a GX8, I'd have a video on how I did that one. I wanted to take this one a step further and not use any dangling cables. So this is going to work out pretty good. So that's that part. Here's the custom fake battery basically I'm making with the prongs coming out, so there's no batteries, there's no cables hanging around. This is just like a side view to show you how far those stick out right there. And this battery comes out and you put another one in just like normal. Here's a little more close-ups. Now this was actually absolutely perfect here, but when I got done painting it and everything else, it felt just a little too snug. So I started I took the camera off, started dremeling it out a little bit just to make, it's not loose at all. It's like perfectly tight. Just this top was just a little too close hanging over that it just made it a little harder to get in the, where am I at? Get into there. So there's some more, you can see this like perfectly, look at that. It fits perfect. I scratched some of the paint when I was dremeling after the fact. Here you can see I scratched up a little bit. I might put some lacquer on this or something, but you can see it's a perfect fit. And because of this modification here, without it, you know, there's like a big gap here because the battery grip on the Sony is it protrudes out further, where this one's closer. So there's like just a big gap here. So I filled in the gap, and at the same time filling in the gap, this acts as an anti-twist. So this will not twist on you at all once it's on this plate here. And this is just the front. Oh yeah, by the way, if you look at the back, you can see that the wheel's not sticking out here because we have to replace the, the mounting wheel. We have to put it more forward, as you can see here. It's all sticking out the front now, and you can see how perfectly fit this is. It might look a little janky to you here just because this is a really close-up shot, but from afar it looks great. So you see the wheel's not here no more, and I just put a piece of plastic on the inside just so you wouldn't see a gaping hole. And you can see how perfectly the fit is. Anti-twist plate here, just another angle. This is the other side, perfectly fit. I mean, this Sony A6500 battery grip is like almost the perfect size. Just another top angle to show you how closely this fits. And you can see it's a little janky here just because I started dremeling it after I was all done just to make it to fit in a little easier. I'll probably repaint this, didn't have time. Just to show you an angle here how perfectly this fits. And that's that. Okay. So I'm going to go through this quick. So you guys are going to have to pause stuff, whatever. And I tried to, it took me 3 days to do this because I was so busy. But these are going to be all kind of, hopefully I tried to put them in order as best I can. So let's take the thing apart. This is the battery grip. You want to see, here's that big empty space I told you. The GX85 comes right about here. So you got all that empty space that I filled in later that you saw in the last pictures. So we got all these screws we got to take out, and there's one underneath the sticker here. See, I'm lifting the sticker, and you can see that one right there. You're going to want to probably take this off anyways because we need to Dremel all this down. In case I don't have a photo, you see all the ridges around here? We're going to Dremel all this completely flat, and this is the mounting. Because the mounting hole on the GX85 is more closer to the edge, we're going to have to move this right here, and we'll get into that. You can see the wheel here before we modify it. Once you take that off, you're going to see this here. This over here is a cable. If you guys didn't notice, there's a port for if you have the Sony a6500. It comes with a cable to go in the hole on the side and into your remote trigger, so that your buttons on your trigger button on the battery grip will work. With this modification, it does not work. Someone sent me some photos that on the GX8 they actually used a way to make it work on the GX8, but the GX85 does not have a remote trigger input, so we can't do that on the GX85. So that's that. And this is the power, and this is the one we're only really concerned with. Here's a close-up of the power right there. Did I show it? Oh, this plate has to come off because we need to move this forward. See, I took the plate out. This makes it sturdy, but when I'm finished, it doesn't really matter. So here's the wheel. We need to flatten all this out too, and cut into some of this to move this whole thing forward. There's just more pieces there. And this is the top plate is connected by just pulling that out. And this is that other side of the thing for the remote trigger thing. Just pop that out. I just took this cable and tucked it under here, just in case someday I want to do something different with it. See? Didn't even know I took a photo of it, but there you go. Tucked it under there. And this is, oh yeah. Let me see if let's go back to this photo here. This is when you put the fake battery, this actually comes with a fake battery for the Sony a6500 that has those prongs sticking out. Those prongs will match up perfectly with the grip that it's designed for. But we have to take this and transplant it over here for our modification, and that's where this was. So I took it out. You can see the space here. I took it out because we're going to need this later, and we're going to transplant this over here for our GX85 to work without cables. Now you can do this with dangling cables. I just wanted to go a step further and do it better this time. So we need to Dremel this flat. Oh, and these there's like you see this little tab here. This is for this part here, just to kind of snap in and be more sturdy, but you really don't need it. So we need to Dremel, we need to cut those off. So I just took some pliers and bent it back and forth. And here's the other one here. We're going to break both of those off. See, I broke this one off. There's still one remaining. This is the screw. We're not breaking off the screw thingy. We're just breaking off this flat plastic tab. As you can see, I'm breaking it here, and here's the screw, whatever you call it thing. And then I just took a Dremel and I Dremeled that flat. And all these screw positions, the only one I had to do is cut this one off because it interfered with the new position of the wheel. I don't know why I'm showing this, but I guess the on and off switch is not a switch to turn the power off, whether you're doing a mod or not. It's to turn off the button so that when you're using the A65, the Sony a6500, if you don't want to accidentally push any of the buttons on the camera, you can turn that off. So that's not a power switch. So here's where it's going to be a little confusing for me to figure out where I left off. Here is the new placement of the wheel, because when you put this flat, you can see there's a hole in this already. That's for this little piece to go down in. Well, we need to make our own hole, and I'm going to show you how I got this position to work correctly. This is just another. You see how close to the edge it is, and because it's so close, we need to make more meat on this, which I will show you in a minute, and that's the proper location. So let's show you how I came up with that. is this, I don't know, this is the top plate. Let's see. I want to see how far I went with this. Okay, let's see if we can. I had to make a template. Let's go to the template. Okay, let's go to the template and show you that first. Okay, so here's the template. How I make templates with stuff is I turn the camera over and I just put a piece of typewriter. I'm kind of old school there, right? Put a piece of printing paper on the bottom and I just push my finger to make an indentation of the bottom of the camera, as you can see here. And when I do that, it's making an outline, and I make sure I press my finger down in the hole here to make sure that is. And then this is the camera upside down, and I put a B on this so I know this is the bottom of my template. And on the other side, I put a T for top. And here is, if you turn your GX, well, let me see real quick, so you guys can check this out. If you see on the bottom, you can see there's a hole there. And now I already took this one off, but there's a rubber little gasket that goes on the back of that. And if you want to use an emulator and plug it in the wall, you just pull back the rubber thing. But I got rid of it because this is, I'll show you in a minute, or not in a minute, but in a while. But that's what this section is right here. And I just took my fingernail and I just made an indent where that's going to be because we need to cut it out. And there you can see I cut out where the indentation was. Of course, I used scissors and cut out my paper there. And I cut out where the battery emulator, fake battery thing's going to stick out. And there's the T for, top. That's the way I just figured out how to do it. So now we're looking at the top of the battery grip, and this is the outline now of the actual GX85, and this is where we need to put the hole, and this is where we're going to transplant the electronics right here. And you can see how much bigger the Sony a6500 grip is with the Panasonic GX85 here, so we're going to fill all that in. So that's how I get a template to know where to cut everything perfectly. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And now this is the top plate, and this is the top. This is where the camera would go onto. And by holding this up to light, you can see where the old mounting hole is and where we need to put the new mounting hole. And this is how I lined all this up. And then I took a marker and I just circled a marker where I need to drill. And I made sure that this is perfectly where it needs to be before I did this, because this is very important. And here I just kept lining it up with the camera. You can already see my my stuff here we're going to go into later, but I just used a knife and kind of, instead of using a marker, I don't know, the marker must have been missing. I just made an outline to where I think that electronics needs to go just by going back and forth, doing it by eye. Okay, let's see where I was. Okay, so now here I am showing you, we need to Dremel all this flat. This little lip, all this needs to be flat for this to work. All this right here, this all needs to come off. And there it is. I took a Dremel and I flattened it completely 100% flat. Just showing you guys that I flattened it. Different angles of it being flattened. There's a top view of it being flattened. And here's that new hole actually. Here it is without the hole. And remember where I made the little pen mark? You can't see it here, I guess, whatever. Drilled the hole there, so that's our new mounting position. And what you do is you stick that little wheel through there and do a test fit to make sure everything fits and everything like that. I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, I'm checking what size drill bit I need to make that hole. Okay, so we need to make, did I already drill that? I'm not sure right here, but what we need to do is we need to make more meat on this thing, because the hole is going to be like, I don't know why I don't see it here. It might have just, I don't know. I must have covered up just briefly with putting this steel stick down. I'll go into steel stick later. But what I'm doing here is reinforcing this bottom, because we need to strengthen it up. And I'm just kind of scraping stuff off so we get a better fit later. So here's the hole that I drilled, and you can see I'm reinforcing this edge now with this. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but here's what happened is it was so thin that it cracked right here, you see? So what this is before I did all of this stuff because I go, oop, it cracked. So what I did is I super glued this back together and then I went ahead and I did all this. So now I'm remembering what I did. Then I just put some steel stick in here to reinforce it. So you might want to do the steel stick first, like do all this first and then drill so you don't crack it, and let it dry for at least a couple hours and then do your drilling. See, it's kind of backwards because I was inventing as I was going, so super glued it. Here's some more views of the steel stick to reinforce that area. That's just another top of out of placement there. I don't know why I'm showing this. Just other views of the steel stick reinforcement. Now here's the steel stick that I put to make this come out because we just need to reinforce this area much stronger. And I'm going to sneeze. My sinuses are starting to get a little crazy here. Let me grab a tissue. And you can see here that I'm adding some more meat to the plate. And this is underneath. And I'm not just, the thing is I just had, okay, maybe I have pictures of it. Here's all the meat, right? More meat. I made sure I went to the side just so it's really sturdy and it's not just a small little thin thing here. And you can see just another angle of it. And I'm just pressing this on with my finger, and I dab my fingers in water just so the steel stick material doesn't stick to my fingers. And I'm just molding it and pushing it. And same with here, just molding it and pushing it. There's other angles. Oh, now I'm putting the top on the base of this unit just so that when I push down that the interior of the base plate is going to press in and make indentations of this so that if you let it dry, it might not go on tight. So by doing a test fit and pushing it down before this dries, you're indenting into the bottom here, you know, inside, so that you know it's going to be a good fit. Like right here, like these little tabs, by pushing this on, you make sure that everything fits. I don't know if that makes sense, but you don't want this to dry before you do press on test fits. Now to make this, you can see this camera's actually on the bottom here, and you can see that the hole's here. And what I did was I took a circular file here and just slowly filed it to the right size. And here is the test fit of the wheel. You can see we need to cut all this off to make it fit. Here's a diagram here, not a diagram, but a photo of me drawing with marker on the areas I need to cut out from this. And here's like the final photo here, but this was after I sanded it. I ended up sanding basically past the crack that I had, and now what I stupidly did was this steel stick is only stuck on the front surface, which is not going to be durable enough. We need this whole thing to be steel sticked. So that was an issue here because this started to separate. And you can see it looks like a nice job here. And I just sanded it down until I made it look nice. This is the back, actually. I don't know why I jumped here, but this is the back where I guess I'm just showing you it, you know, in there in the front. You can see here I sanded it too much on the bottom, so that's where this front part is now its own separate piece, which is way too thin. So I don't know if I have pictures, but I went and I put steel stick all over this to make it all one solid piece. And in the back here, I just took a piece of black plastic and glued it on the inside so that when this goes down tight, there's going to be no more gap here. And that's what I was doing here. Here I'm just showing you that I sanded it too much. By sanding it too much, we've got two pieces now, and this is completely on its own and very vulnerable for breaking. So I had to just applied more steel stick on top of this. I didn't redo it. Just showing you test fits, I guess. So here I am applying more steel stick to fix that issue that I had. Make sure that this is all one piece. See, now it's all one piece and I'm sanding it. And on the top, it's all one piece now instead of little two separate pieces. I super glued something there, maybe just for the edges to be sturdy. And let's see, I think that's it. I think that's it for that. Let's go back and check. Okay, sorry guys, this is gonna be strange. Did we finish the plate? Yes, we did. You're gonna have to leave questions on this, guys, because I know I'm going fast. We're gonna talk about the steel stick now. Now this is steel stick. This is the stuff that I use to do all my modifications and adding pieces and adding more meat to everything. And before you do this, you need to tape up your camera because you do not want steel stick to get stuck to your camera. So I took some painter's tape and I just made sure that I taped up the camera really well, and I made sure I tried to push as hard as I can to make sure it's close as possible. And now I'm just laying the camera on not laying it, I'm actually screwing it on with because my new adapter screw, whatever you want to call it, it fits like this. So now we know we line the camera up on top of the plate really well. Now we need to put the steel stick on here. See, here's that gap I was telling you about that the Sony actually fills, but our GX8 does not. And now all I did was I rolled like dough or a worm made out of steel stick, and I wet my hands just a little bit so it's not too sticky. And I just squished it in here, and I just kept, molding it around. And make sure you don't get any in here. Now you only got about 5 or 10 minutes before this sets, and about an hour before you want to start sanding it and stuff. So make sure you keep an eye on you're not, filling in your gap here, because then you'll never get your top plate off. And you can see how I'm just squishing it on here. And here's my fingers. I keep pushing it and molding it. And I keep molding it until it gets dry. Make sure you don't steel stick your button. You can see I got really close there, but I caught that and I fixed it before it got. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going ahead of my. I went too fast. Here I've got the paper on after it dried, like right before it got super hard. I took the camera off. But you got to go kind of slow, because if you just pull the camera quick, you're going to damage all this. So I just worked the camera off slowly. And once you get it off, this is still going to be a little rubbery, but it's not wet enough to where it's going to stick to your camera. So then I put the camera back on without the tape, and I just kind of molded it a little more where it's rubbery, but it's not damaging or sticky. And I just kept pushing it around here. Same with on this side. And now I took the camera off after I pushed the rubberies, I can't even talk. After I did all the molding and it wasn't damaging the camera, I took the camera off. You don't want to keep the camera there just in case it still hardens onto it. And here's what it looks like on the inside. Now what happened was this actually fell off, which was okay. And this is the piece that fell off. You can see here that it made an indentation here, which is a good thing because I drill this out so I can reapply a screw there. And I just test fitted it again, and this is a screw. You can see there's a screw there. I'm just kind of digging this out before this dries super hard. I'm just kind of making it fit better. Why does my pictures keep stopping here? Where was I? I got lost. Sorry guys. I don't know why the picture don't go any further. There I was. And this is, I'm just sticking like a little pin in here because remember on the other photo with here, it actually, some of it got kind of stuck down in there. So I would just make sure I was getting that out before it dried. And I'm just doing another test fit, kind of pushing this on, making sure that this area now screws in, and I made sure that's dug out. You can see here it's dug out here. And now I'm actually going to super glue this to the base, as you can see here. So you can see I dug a little bit out here so I can apply a screw in here, and I glued it, making sure everything's good. After it's dry, I made sure I test fitted it. And now we are going to the front. Now, I didn't do the whole section in one shot because it had been way too hard to manage all this. So I did it in 2 parts. So I did that part first, and now we're going to do this front section. So I retaped my camera up, and I just started adding some steel stick to it and pushing it on. Make sure I don't get any in here, and make sure I don't get any over here. And I just keep, you see it's getting close here. I think I got a little bit here, and I just took like a really fine screwdriver or my fingernail and just kind of scooped it out there. And I just keep molding it until, while it's drying actually, just kept pushing it in here. And I slowly took the camera off with the tape there, took the tape off, and when this was starting to dry more, I did a test fit. You could see my wheels already here, so everything's perfect. You want to make sure you get that wheel and everything and that it fits perfect before you do this, because you don't want to do that wheel later, because then it's going to be a disaster. So make sure it all fits first before you even start all the steel stick here. And just another angle of it. This is what the inside of it actually looks like. You can see that by pushing it around, you actually get an indentation of the camera itself. And now I just took it off because I think I'm going to start, I guess, doing some more test fits and molding and adding more if you need it. Here's the bottom of it. You know, you don't want anything blocking here, as I guess I'm illustrating. So everything goes on straight. And this is actually screwed to the bottom of the camera with the screw, just without the base plate, so you see what it looks like. And just a side shot, more shots around. I don't know what I'm showing here. I think I just added some more on this side just to fill in stuff. Just gonna have to do this part by ear, guys. I think that's it for the steel stick on that.